Hello everybody, my name's True Demon and I'm the Devil Stockbroker. So Monday's going to be a big day for AMC with its new dividend with APE, that's AMC Preferred Equity Shares. So I figured I'd take the time to make this video to explain what to expect on Monday so that there's no uncertainty or any kind of FUD that can deter you from your position. So let's get straight into it. So first things first, I'm going to go over a few technicals and some history on AMC's chart so that we can get a good idea of what might occur in the charts before we go into this dividend. So I've marked out two specific dates going back to AMC's previous chart on the 19th of May and again in just a few days ago on the 12th of August, which was last Friday. So AMC, back in May of 2021, there were several dividends, or rather short share equity distributions that occurred in the market, basically dilution. So what occurred with AMC back then was AMC was in a really tight spot with its finances. So in order to save the company and not to absorb more debt, in order to increase shareholder value, what AMC ended up doing was entering into two separate offerings. There was a direct offering made to a company known as Mudrick Capital, and there was a separate offering made at the market. That's where the company sells shares directly to the market, occurring later on I believe it happened through the end of April through to the first week of May. So the offering that went to the market allowed AMC to sell several shares into the market, and they accrued several $1 million from that offering, and that gave them the cash runway to make up their balance sheet and improve their financial situation at that time. After that had occurred and they announced that the offering was complete, the share price started to take off. Then AMC issued another notice that they were selling a direct offering to Mudrick Capital, and they had already received proceeds from that and went well above their target to receive funds. Now, everybody famously knows that Mudrick sold their shares out into the market and publicly stated in front of everybody how they believed that AMC was basically going to fail. So as soon as the share price took off, they sold immediately. And hilariously, just a few weeks later, the price took off to a 52-week high of $72. So kind of made Mudrick make a public ass of themselves. But all the same, the cash infusion that AMC was able to receive from that share sale gave them plenty of cash to survive well into the future. They made multiple acquisitions, including the later acquisition that occurred in late 2021 of the Pacific ArcLight Theaters, which is, oddly enough, the most profitable theater chain in the Western Hemisphere. And that's because all of the Pacific ArcLight theaters are strategically located in the busiest and most popular areas of Los Angeles and up the California coast. So these theaters, which are extremely popular, very opulent, famous theaters, these are the types of theaters where major premieres of Hollywood actors would be hosted at. So AMC's acquisition of these theaters is not only monetarily sound, but also very symbolic of their up-and-coming dominance of the public theater markets. What I'm pointing out on the chart specifically is how on the history of AMC's chart showed that there was a massive pop after the news of these sales was completed, and then this actually put enough pain on shorts that they weren't able to cover their margin at the time, and there was a big squeeze that occurred afterwards, driving the price to these all-time highs. And what we notice is that on the short-term time frame, going on the daily chart, AMC had this little cup and then a handle that occurred going into the week of May the 13th and later on into the first week of June. Going back to where we're currently standing, AMC has got a very similar chart pattern, although we've been in an overall downtrend. As you can see, we've been trading below the 200 smooth moving average, which is the red line you see here on the chart, for several months ever since the the 2nd of December. So AMC trading below its 200 period moving average on the daily chart isn't a great sign, and it's something that we should be aware of. But I can't help but notice the reemergence of another cup and handle. On the most recent downturn, AMC was selling off from a high of $27.30 down to where it's currently at around $17.80 or $18.02. And we've formed a abandoned baby candle right here, which is this orphaned candle that's basically gapped down, and it has very large wicks on both sides. You might also hear this called a morning star candle just because it resembles a twinkling star. These are very typical reversal pattern candles. So this one candle indicates that a strong reversal could be made back to the upside. I had been speculating that a triangle was going to form on AMC's chart, and we had this one break below on Friday, which made me question whether or not I was right about this. But I am looking at this single orphan candle and thinking to myself, this could be a possible reversal for AMC where it re-enters into this triangle and then tests the top and bottom of the triangle before it finally breaks out. However, I need to keep in mind that there is a splividend coming up with AMC preferred equity shares. So that's where we get into the APE. So, bit of background, this is technically a split dividend where AMC is going to be issuing a whole new type of equity. The rules are not very clear on how APE is distributed as far as what the value of it is, but AMC becoming APE typically means that the price of APE is going to be a ratio relative to the number of shares of AMC are being dividended through into APE. And what I mean by that is that the price of AMC is going to directly correlate to the price of APE. And because it's a simple one-to-one ratio, logically speaking, this means that the price simply just gets cut in half. And the way that this is supposed to work is that if AMC is trading at $20 on Friday, it's going to become AMC equals $10 and APE equals $10 Monday. Perfect split. And that's the idea. Now, this is not guaranteed to be how it works because this is all based on pricing within the equity markets. So the pricing might actually look very different starting on Monday when we actually open up at the bell. But this is what APEs should expect because this is the most logical scenario for APE once it begins trading on Monday at the opening bell. So if that does turn out to be the case, then one possibility that we should be prepared for is to see AMC gap down all the way down to $10 from where it's currently trading, or possibly down to $9. We don't know, but somewhere in this area is where we might be. You need to be mentally prepared to see AMC's price down at this level, because that is possibly what could happen as this split occurs. AMC is splitting off its equity to becoming two separate equities from AMC to APE, and both of them are going to be representative of the equity value of the company. What's more, they have the same voting rights. So one vote AMC equals one vote of APE, and it's the same right now. This can change in the future as they issue new shares of APE, but that's something that you should be aware of, is that AMC and APE, for all the purposes of being an equity in the company AMC, are virtually one and the same. They're no different. What is different about APE, though, is that it is unique to itself, and the only APE that is going to exist in the market is going to be issued to current shareholders of AMC that closed the trading day on Friday with the number of shares that they had in their portfolio. So if you had 1,000 shares of AMC in your portfolio on Friday, you're getting 1,000 shares of APE in your portfolio on Monday, and you will keep your 1,000 shares of AMC at that time. What you do with those shares is entirely up to you, but this is what I'm doing. I currently hold enough AMC shares that I'm content and happy with holding my position indefinitely until I see the squeeze that I have been looking for. In order to help that squeeze along, I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is and continue to hold APE even if there is a possibility of the share price being diluted later on by Adam Aron and the AMC company selling more shares of APE into the market. This is a possible scenario that we should be prepared for, although I don't anticipate that Adam Aron is just going to dump a bunch of shares out into the market. This is the first piece of FUD that I want to address. So I'm going to go move over to the frequently asked questions that was set up by AMC and Adam Aron on the Investor Connect page for AMC. So let's go over first what AMC preferred equity units are exactly. It has the same value of economic status as a Class A common stock. That's AMC shares. So, like I was saying, it's one and the same with AMC. It is designed to have the same voting rights as shares of common stock. The equity unit will trade on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol APE. So, this is where you should look for it in your portfolio and where you should expect to see it on the exchanges when you go to look to buy or sell starting on Monday. The unit is a depository share with each AMC preferred equity unit representing 1/100th interest of a share of AMC's authorized Series A convertible participating preferred stock. What this is referring to is the amount of convertible equity that AMC is allowed to issue in APE. So AMC, this was written into its company charter or its company corporate articles of incorporation. AMC is able to issue a very significant number of preferred equity or convertible stock. What we should recognize is that there are a total of 5 billion issuable but not issued APE shares that could go into the market at some point in the future. So I don't want to lie to people and pretend like there's no dilution happening. AMC is probably going to dilute APE. That's most likely going to happen. The benefit that this has is that dilution by its very nature is not a bad thing. Dilution gets a really bad rap because a lot of companies, especially very reckless, irresponsible companies, especially pump and dumps and big scams, money losing companies, zombie companies, they will recklessly dilute their stock in order to just dump their equity onto shareholders that are willing to buy them in order to raise capital that pay for bonuses for their executive team. And I don't think that this is what AMC is planning to do. I certainly don't believe that that's what Adam Aron plans to do, because he's a very good businessman. He's brought many companies from the brink of disaster over and over, and I've referenced this several times in previous videos. But when he saved Norwegian Cruise Lines, that was actually a stroke of brilliance. It was one of his earlier positions as an executive and his first position as a CEO, where he had direct control of, pardon the pun, but steering the ship and bringing it back to safe harbor. So with AMC, it's in a very similar situation to Norwegian Cruise Lines, where the company's been losing money hand over fist, and it's been losing shareholder confidence for many, many years. And ever since Adam Aron has come and stepped into his position in the between, I believe it was 2015 that he took his position, he has since been bringing AMC back to a profitable position that was somewhat derailed by the COVID pandemic, just like everybody else. So the thing that I want to stress here is that while dilution is a likely occurrence, it's not happening in the immediate for AMC. It's not as though Adam Aron's going to dump millions and millions and millions and billions of APE shares onto the market overnight. That's not how he has used his equity in the past. That's not how he operates. He issues maybe 5 million of these shares at a time where the company needs to raise capital. But for the most part, what he has done is he has issued equity in order to pay for acquisitions. And he turns he turns his counterparties, or the people who he is trying to do business with, into AMC shareholders. And this is a really smart way to operate his business and use those shares, because he's not selling them directly into the market at face value. What he's doing is assigning a value to them and getting his counterparties invested in the future of his company. By doing that, he's actually turning them into shareholders and getting them invested in the future of AMC. And that future is looking very bright, as Adam Aron said on his CNBC, his CNN Mad Money interview with Jim Cramer just a few days ago. So August 19th is behind us. That is the dividend payment date. So that was the last day that you could purchase shares of AMC in order to receive APE shares. Now that that's behind us, Monday is going to be the day that we receive those shares. So that's what we're expecting to see. APE shares added to our portfolio in a perfect 1-to-1 ratio of our AMC shares. So we're already past this point, but it's worth just mentioning that if you haven't bought your AMC shares and you were hoping to get more APE, it's too late. That ship has sailed. Whatever you're holding now is what you're going to get in APE shares. So here we come to the conversion topic of APE. So AMC preferred equity shares can convert into common stock, but this is going to require a board and a shareholder vote in order to make it happen. So for all intents and purposes of now to the distant future, AMC and APE are going to be just completely separate equities. They have nothing to do with each other other than the fact that they represent the equity value of AMC, the company. They will be mutually exclusive. They will trade at their own stock price at market, and whatever the market determines that they are valued at is what they're going to trade for. Most likely, they're probably going to be tied to each other, and their prices are going to be basically one and the same. There are some opportunities for high frequency trading companies to do a little bit of arbitrage, like scalping tenths of a penny off of the difference of price between AMC and APE at times. But other than that, I kind of expect them to be pretty much tied together in terms of their price. So one additional piece of information, and this was brought to my attention, but I wasn't able to comment on it because I didn't know this for certain at the time. But AMC is working with CompuShare as the depository in order to issue the shares. The dividend being issued via ComputerShare is basically AMC creating a registration through ComputerShare to the depository trust company in order to monitor the number of shares that are in circulation. So because of this, we are certain that there will never be more than the number of shares issued by the company through ComputerShare, because ComputerShare's direct registration guarantees that the number of shares in the market matches the number of shares issued. So at no time should it be possible for there to be a rehypothecation of these shares, at least at the time of issuance. Once it gets into the hands of brokers, things can get really funky really quickly. The brokers themselves that are going to be issued the shares are going to be expected to hand those directly over to the shareholders that have been holding AMC. They will receive their APE in a 1-to-1 fashion. So there should not be anything that you need to do as an investor to receive your APE shares. You should just expect to see them in your account on Monday. If you don't see them by the opening bell on Monday, you need to call your broker and ask them what the fuck is up. If the broker, and I'm not going to make any accusations here, but there are certain fly-by-night brokers that I do not trust. And for that reason, if you cannot get in touch with your broker via the phone, then if you see any kind of problems with receiving your shares, I highly encourage you to get on the phone with a competing broker, a real broker, someone like Fidelity or TD Ameritrade that will actually be held accountable and are based in the United States and subject to securities exchange laws. Even though I don't trust any broker as far as I can throw them, there are certainly some that I would never, ever consider doing business with. And of all the brokers that I've worked with so far, Fidelity has been the most honest and the most reachable that I've worked with. That's not an endorsement. That's just the broker that I use. I'm sure that there are plenty of other brokers that you can work with that will treat you just as well, but for me, Fidelity is the pick. So one other piece of information to take very careful note of. The dividend is not a cash dividend. There should not be cash deposited into your account based on this information. So if you get cash instead of APE shares and that is not what you wanted, you need to call your broker. Your broker is the only person that can answer those questions. And if they are dodging your questions, if they are avoiding answering truthfully, or if you catch them in a lie, that is important. It is perfectly legal to hold a recording of your phone call with your broker. Make sure to ask permission first, but just to avoid any kind of legal issues. But you are legally entitled to record the call with your broker because they're recording you. Record the call with your broker if you have any questions or any doubts about their adherence to fiduciary duty. If you see them doing anything bizarre or questionable, then you need to hold their feet to the fire and make sure that they are delivering your shares on time. If you do not get them, then it should be immediately reported. One other thing to note is that if you have fractional shares of AMC, you will not be issued a fractional share of APE. There will be no way for you to receive half of an APE share. There's going to be a one-to-one. If you're not holding a full round number of AMC shares, then you're just going to round down to the nearest whole. So if you're holding 100.5, you're just getting 100 shares. Now, once those shares get issued by ComputerShare, ComputerShare is going to be the sole source of all APE shares. I really do believe that this is a nod from Adam Aron, that he is recognizing the arguments of AMC shareholders that we've been saying that there's some really funky shit going on with broker rehypothecation that's been going on for a long time. And what's different about ComputerShare is that they will track the shares in the market. If there is anything wrong going on, then be sure that AMC is aware of it, and any rehypothecation of AMC or APE equity is going to be noticed. This creates a possibility that if naked shorting starts occurring, this will give AMC a stronger argument to take action against any bad acting brokers at any time. We had already gone over the voting rights. Let's go over the last bit of information over the AMC preferred equity units. Like I said earlier, there are an authorized number of up to 5 billion shares, and that's based on the number of AMC shares that that there was equity authorized by the Articles of Incorporation for AMC, or the company charter. At this time, the board has only authorized the equivalent of 1 billion APE shares that can be issued up to a certain point. So right now, as a part of the dividend, there's going to be 516 million plus change that are going to be issued directly to you as the AMC shareholders. So there are going to be no more APE shares in circulation other than the number of AMC outstanding shares that are supposed to be legally issued and trading in the market. And this statement comes definitively from their 8K filing. The AMC board currently has no plan or intention in calendar years 2022 or 2023 to authorize more than this initial 1 billion amount of APEs. So there is not going to be more than 1 billion APE shares traded in the market. They are not going to dilute more than that amount at any time. That's the most there's ever going to be until there is a shareholder vote. So until that time, AMC is in a very strong financial position where no dilution will be necessary. Although they have the ability to dilute the rest of that 1 billion figure, that's 484 million shares roughly, that they can sell to the market or make a direct offering to a private investor. That's possible, but it does not seem like AMC is planning to just issue those all at once and dilute the market to hell. So before you give in to all the FUD of everybody saying that AMC is going to dilute the company to death, just tune that shit out, okay? Be prepared for some dilution. It's necessary in order for AMC to strengthen its financial position, but know that they're doing this in order to increase the financial position of the company and take away their debt. If at any time AMC is able to just wipe away their $9 billion in debt at any time, they will be able to save the company. There will be no more debt hanging over it. If they can do that, then the short thesis is dead. So trust that Adam Aron is interested in the survival of this company. His net worth is entirely tied up in AMC. He wants it to survive. He wants it to be a success. Trust me. And this is where Adam Aron and the board of AMC addresses this situation. The 483.2 million AMC shares have been approved to be issued at the discretion of the AMC board of directors. If they decide that it's necessary, they can do this. So be aware that dilution of APE might happen. It probably will happen, but it's not going to destroy the company. If you hear anything about that, I promise you that it's just to spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's not going to cause the company to collapse. Dilution does not cause companies collapse unless they do it recklessly. Adam Aron is not a reckless businessman. He has been successful in all of his business endeavors. As long as you trust that the board of directors of AMC are interested in the survival of the company, then you don't need to doubt their motives. They are investors of AMC themselves. They own hundreds of shares, thousands of shares, some millions of shares. Just trust that they have the company's interest in mind. So there is one additional piece of information before I close this out. You can feel free to read the rest of this document. It's available at AMC's Investor Connect, and I'll provide a link to the tweet for Adam Aron's Twitter account so you can actually get the link directly from the horse's mouth. But because this is like but not exactly like a 2-to-1 stock split, there's a very interesting thing that can happen here that I want everybody to be aware of. Initially, we should expect the price of AMC and APE to go down together. However, recognize this is a buying opportunity for everybody in AMC and APE to get more shares. With APE specifically, there can be no more shares issued. And shorts are going to be in this very, very uncomfortable position where they're going to be obligated to make a delivery of some kind, whether it's cash in lieu of shares or shares directly from the market, in order to provide their lenders that value that represents APE from the dividend. Logically, the price is going to go down, but ultimately, what decides the price of AMC and APE is the market. And right now, AMC shareholders are extremely bullish on the company. What I anticipate is that AMC shareholders will hold on to their APE shares. I'm going to be holding on to mine. I think everybody should hold on to theirs, but that's not my decision. That's your decision. Whatever you do decide, recognize that there is an opportunity here where retail shareholders hold the vast majority of APE shares. We have the unique position to dictate the price of APE shares. With that said, if there is somebody on the other side of the fence that is desperately in need to get their hands on those shares, they are going to have to pay whatever price the market dictates to get them, and that's because of the computer share issuance. Computer share is not going to allow a rehypothecation of these shares to occur. They won't be able to come up with these shares from thin air the same way they were able to before, when the DTCC was just allowing the brokers to bury them, kick the can down the road on their delivery obligations, and just delay shit until the ends of time. You can say what you want about Adam Aron being a suit or or an elitist or whatever. I don't really care. Personally, I've never gotten along with men in the business world for a long time, but for what it's worth, coming from me as a skeptic, I find that Adam Aron is a lot more upfront with his shareholders than he has been, than many others have been in this world. Right now, Adam Aron is projecting a very positive future for AMC, and I'm inclined to believe him based on the direction that the balance sheet has moved, despite not being able to dilute any further shares. It tells me that the company is in a state of recovery, despite what all the other uh, film industry leaders are saying about the future of their own movie theater chains. Unlike companies like Cinemark and Regal Cinemas, AMC is forecasting a very bullish third and fourth quarter at the end of 2022. Right now, all the other movie theater chains that are competing with AMC are forecasting that they're going to have a bad third quarter and that their liquidity position is not as strong as it was in the early start of the year, where the movie theater business was starting to boom again with a resurgence of moviegoing. AMC, on the other hand, has $1 billion of liquidity in the form of cash on hand. Not cash equivalents, just cash on hand. That's a lot of cash for AMC to do business with, to run its operations, and in order to defer some of its payment obligations with, or make more acquisitions if they want to. Right now, AMC is in the strongest cash position of any other movie theater chain out there, and it's going into the forecasted weaker third quarter much stronger than any of its competitors right now. So going into Monday, while I do accept the possibility of seeing AMC's share price as low as $8, I am expecting that any major sell off in the price of AMC will be immediately met with a huge rebound in the share price, forming a V shaped recovery. Recognize that there is no other way for the shorts to deliver the APE shares that they're going to be required to deliver equivalent value to their lenders for. The short sellers who sold those shares into the market are going to have to pay through the nose for that dividend. And whatever APE is trading at is going to be what they're going to have to pay for those shares in order to deliver them. That's just the way that it works. And while conventional wisdom dictates that AMC is going to have its share price down to $8 or $9 or whatever it's trading at, I firmly believe that even if that were to occur, it doesn't really matter because APE shares are going to only be in the hands of those who were issued them through the dividend. And as long as nobody sells their APE shares for pennies like idiots, then it's going to require short sellers to demand to make larger and larger asking or larger and larger bidding prices in order to receive those shares which their lenders are entitled to. And this is going to cause a massive problem of share delivery for APE shares starting on Monday. What I really anticipate happening is that when the bell rings on Monday, a bunch of people will get their APE shares and a bunch of people won't, because there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are entitled to them that were holding on to synthetic AMC shares. They are the product of naked shorts and rehypothecated shares that should never have existed in the first place because they're counterfeit. If that argument holds true, if that theory proves true, then that means that a whole bunch of counterfeit shares of AMC, those are still entitled to receive APE shares because, as far as anyone knows, the brokers issued a valid legal share of AMC. But if it turns out that they didn't, then the broker's on the hook for it. And the broker, they're not going to pay that. They're not going to let their mistake become public knowledge because it would destroy market confidence in their ability to do business or stay liquid. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to come after the short sellers that they lent that share to, which never should have existed in the first place, and they're going to demand that share back in the form of a quote share recall, and that's going to force the short sellers to pay whatever the goddamn price is that the market is demanding. So, on Monday, I'm just going to hold my shares and I'm going to wait to see what the hell happens because I would love to see how in the hell they're going to deliver the billions of AMC shares, or rather the APE shares, that they just printed out of thin air. I really do believe that naked shorts explain the entire price action of AMC and why the squeeze in June occurred, because they needed to kick the can down the road one more time. And if we open up the bell on Monday with a whole bunch of AMC shareholders not receiving their APE, then I'm going to treat that as a signal of confirmation that people are not receiving the shares they were entitled to, and now we're going to run into a massive delivery failure. So even if we don't see the massive share price climb on Monday or Tuesday, I'm not going to be scared by that. I'm just going to be standing by, waiting to see what happens, and just hold faith that AMC is going to survive this. And even if I'm wrong, that the company will end up doing well later on in the future. And As an investor of AMC, I'll remain confident that the company will continue to succeed and thrive going on into the distant future, at which point I will just sit back and enjoy my return on my investment later on down the road. That's going to be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this content and you're hoping to get some more information from me on AMC going forward, please just go ahead and hit the like. It helps out the YouTube algorithm. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can stay close to this information. I not only report on AMC and other meme stocks, but I also report on broader market movements and other large cap tickers. And we also cover the macroeconomics that affect the broader market as a whole. If you're also interested in becoming a part of Hell's Trading Floor, you can join us at the link below to our Patreon site at patreon.com/thedevilsbroker, which you can join our Discord at discord.gg/Hell's Trading Floor. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a hell of a time in the markets.